Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Discovery, watching the stars through the main screen. 6 months had passed since they left Earth. The ship carried 30 crew members on humanity's first mission to find a new home among the stars. Their destination was the Kepler 442 system, where planets might support human life. Jake was 35 years old and had commanded 3 ships before this one. He trusted his crew completely. Dr. Lisa Brooks ran the science department with sharp intelligence and endless curiosity. Commander Ryan Hayes kept everyone safe as security chief, always ready for trouble. Tony Garcia could fix anything that broke on the ship as their chief engineer. The bridge was quiet, except for the soft hum of computers. Jake sipped his coffee and read reports from the different departments. Everything was running smoothly. They would reach their destination in 2 more weeks. "Captain," called Lieutenant Pete Johnson from his station. "I'm picking up something strange on the sensors." Jake set down his coffee and walked over. "What do you see?" "There's a ship out there. It's drifting near those asteroids. The design doesn't match anything in our databases." Jake felt his heart beat faster. This was what they had all wondered about during the long journey. Were they alone in space, or would they find other intelligent life? "Can you tell if anyone is alive on that ship?" Pete worked at his controls for several minutes. "Yes, sir. I'm reading 1 life sign. Very weak. The ship looks badly damaged." Ryan Hayes stepped up beside them. His hand rested on his weapon as always when facing the unknown. "Could be a trap, Captain. We don't know anything about whoever built that ship." Jake nodded. Ryan was right to be careful. But Jake looked at the damaged ship on the screen and thought about someone dying alone in the dark of space. "Dr. Brooks, report to the bridge," he said into his communicator. Lisa arrived. Within minutes, her long brown hair tied back and her eyes bright with excitement. "Is it true? Have we found an alien ship?" "Take a look," Jake said, pointing to the screen. Lisa studied the readings with the careful attention she gave to all her work. "The ship is definitely not human-made. The metal composition is unlike anything we use, and that life sign is getting weaker." Jake made his decision quickly. His grandmother always said that how you treat strangers shows what kind of person you really are. "Tony, can we bring that ship into our cargo bay?" Tony's voice came through the communicator. "It's small enough to fit. But Captain, we don't know what might be on that ship." "Someone is dying over there," Jake said simply. "We're going to help them." Ryan shook his head. "Captain, I have to advise against this. We have protocols for first contact situations. We should send a message back to Earth and wait for instructions." "That will take months," Jake replied. "This person will be dead long before then." He looked around at his crew. "I know it's risky, but saving lives is what humans do. It's who we are." The next 2 hours were busy as they prepared to bring the alien ship aboard. Tony and his team cleared space in the cargo bay. Dr. Brooks set up medical equipment in case the survivor needed immediate help. Ryan positioned security teams around the cargo bay, just in case. Jake watched through the cargo bay windows as the alien ship was pulled inside by their tractor beam. It was beautiful in a strange way, with smooth curves and a silver surface that seemed to glow softly. But large sections were torn open, showing the damage from whatever had attacked it. "Life signs are very weak," Dr. Brooks reported. "We need to get to that person fast." Jake suited up with the boarding team. They cut through the alien ship's hull carefully, not wanting to cause more damage. The inside was filled with a breathable atmosphere, though it smelled different from what they were used to. They found the survivor in what looked like the ship's control room. Jake stopped and stared. The alien was clearly female, with pale, blue skin that had silver markings running along her arms and face. She was unconscious and badly hurt, with cuts and burns covering her body. But what struck Jake most was how human she looked. She had 2 arms, 2 legs, and a face that could almost pass for human except for the skin color and the markings. Her hair was white as snow and fell to her shoulders. "Bring a stretcher," Dr. Brooks called out. "She's alive but barely." They carried the alien woman to the medical bay as carefully as possible. Dr. Brooks worked quickly, treating the worst injuries first. Jake stayed nearby, watching the woman's face for any sign that she was waking up. After an hour, the alien woman's eyes opened suddenly. They were large and golden, unlike any human eyes. She looked around the medical bay in confusion and fear. When her gaze fell on Jake, something amazing happened. She sat up quickly despite her injuries and threw herself at him, her arms wrapped around his chest as she began to cry. The sounds she made were clearly words, but in a language no human had ever heard. She clung to Jake like he was the most important thing in the universe. Jake stood frozen, not sure what to do. The alien woman was surprisingly strong despite her injuries. She kept talking rapidly in her strange language, sometimes touching his face with her hands as if she couldn't believe he was real. "The universal translator is trying to work," Dr. Brooks said quietly. "But it needs more data to understand her language." The alien woman looked up at Jake with her golden eyes full of tears. She said something that sounded almost like a question. When he didn't answer, she pressed her face against his chest and cried harder. "Why is she acting like this?" Ryan asked from where he stood guard by the door. "It's like she knows you, Captain." Jake gently patted the woman's back, trying to comfort her. "I don't know. But she's been through something terrible. Look at those injuries." Dr. Brooks ran her medical scanner over the alien woman. "Some of these wounds are old, months old, and some of them look like they were made on purpose, not in an accident." The alien woman finally released Jake but stayed close to him. She wiped her eyes and tried to speak more slowly. The universal translator caught a few words here and there. "Name," the computer said. "My name." The alien woman pointed to herself and said a word that sounded like music. She repeated it several times until the translator caught it. "Zara," the computer announced. "Her name is Zara." Jake smiled at her and pointed to himself. "Jake," he said clearly. Zara's golden eyes went wide. She said his name back to him, her voice filled with wonder. Then she grabbed his hand and held it tightly, as if she was afraid he might disappear. Jake looked at Dr. Brooks and Ryan. Something was very wrong here. Zara was acting like she had been waiting her whole life to meet him. But that was impossible. Humans had never made contact with aliens before. What had happened to this woman? Who had hurt her so badly? And why did she cling to a complete stranger like he was her salvation? Jake had a feeling that finding Zara was going to change everything. For humanity, he just didn't know how much. 3 days passed since they found Zara. Each day brought new mysteries that made Jake's head spin with questions. The alien woman recovered quickly from her injuries, much faster than any human would have. Dr. Brooks said Zara's body healed itself in ways that seemed impossible. But Zara's strange behavior toward Jake only grew stronger. She followed him everywhere around the ship. When he ate in the cafeteria, she sat beside him and pushed half her food onto his plate. When he walked the corridors, she stayed 2 steps behind him like a shadow. At night, she curled up on the floor outside his quarters, refusing to sleep in the guest room they had prepared for her. The universal translator worked better each day as it learned more of Zara's language. Her people were called the Villani, and she came from a world with 3 suns. Her name meant something like last light in her language, which made Jake feel sad for reasons he couldn't explain. But when Jake asked about her damaged ship or who had hurt her, Zara would stop talking. Her golden eyes would fill with fear, and she would shake her head quickly. Then she would touch Jake's arm or hand as if making sure he was still there. "She's hiding something," Ryan said during their morning meeting. Jake, Lisa, Tony, and Ryan sat around the conference table while Zara waited outside. She pressed her face against the window, watching Jake through the glass. "She's been through trauma," Lisa said, defending the alien woman. "Look at those scars. I found during her medical exam. Someone tortured her, maybe for months or years." Jake looked at the medical reports Lisa had given him. The pictures made his stomach turn. Zara's body was covered in old scars that looked like they came from scientific experiments. Someone had cut into her skin many times, always in the same careful patterns. "What kind of monsters would do this to another living being?" Jake asked. "That's what worries me," Ryan said. "If there are aliens out there who torture prisoners, what happens when they come looking for her? Because they will come looking. Ships don't just drift in space by accident. Tony nodded from his place at the table. I've been studying her ship. The damage wasn't from an accident or a battle. Someone sabotaged it from the inside. She escaped from somewhere, Captain, and whoever held her prisoner won't be happy about it. Jake rubbed his forehead. The responsibility of first contact with alien life felt heavier each day. What else have you learned about her ship? It's more advanced than anything we could build, Tony said. The power source alone could change everything for humanity. But here's the strange part. Some of the technology looks familiar, like someone studied human designs and improved them. That's impossible, Lisa said. Humans have never been to this part of space before. I know, Tony said, but I'm telling you what I see. There are design elements that look almost human. Jake stared out the window at Zara. She waved at him with a smile that made her whole face light up, but her eyes still held deep sadness, like someone who had lost everything important to them. There's something else, Lisa said quietly. I ran genetic tests on skin samples from Zara's injuries. Her DNA is unlike anything on Earth, but there are similarities to human genetics that shouldn't exist. What kind of similarities? Jake asked. She has the same blood type as you, Captain. The same rare blood type that only 2% of humans have. She also shares several genetic markers with you that are extremely uncommon. The room went quiet. Jake felt cold suddenly, like someone had opened an airlock to space. That has to be a coincidence, Ryan said. Maybe, Lisa said, but there are too many coincidences. Her reaction to you, Captain, the way she treats you like family, the genetic markers, the human-like technology in her ship. Something is very wrong here. A soft knocking on the conference room door interrupted them. Zara stood outside, tapping gently on the glass. Her face looked worried and she kept pointing at Jake. Jake got up and opened the door. Zara immediately grabbed his hand and spoke rapidly in her language. The translator caught fragments of her words. Danger, the computer said. They come. Find. Must hide. Jake knelt down to Zara's eye level. Who is coming, Zara? Who are you afraid of? Zara's golden eyes filled with tears. She said a word that the translator couldn't understand, but the way she said it made everyone in the room feel afraid. Bad ones, the translator finally said. Masters. They own. Own what? Jake asked gently. Zara pointed to herself and said something that made the translator go silent for several seconds. Property, it finally said. Zara says she is property. Jake felt anger rise in his chest. You're not property. You're a person. No one owns you. Zara stared at him like he had said something impossible. She touched his face with her hand and spoke softly. You not understand, the translator said. Born to serve. Made to serve. Always serve. Made to serve, Lisa repeated. What does that mean? But before Zara could answer, alarms started blaring throughout the ship. Pete's voice came over the communication system. Captain, to the bridge immediately. We have multiple ships approaching fast. They're not human. Jake ran to the bridge with his crew following. Zara ran beside him, her face white with terror. On the main screen, Jake could see 5 large ships moving toward them. They were dark and angular like knives cutting through space. They found me, Zara whispered. They found me. Who are they? Jake demanded. Zara said a word that sounded like death itself. When the translator processed it, the word that came out made everyone's blood freeze. Hegemony, the computer said. The word means those who rule over all others. The lead ship was 3 times larger than the Discovery. As Jake watched, it opened a communication channel. A face appeared on the screen that would give Jake nightmares for years to come. The creature looked almost human, but wrong in every way. Its skin was gray and stretched tight over sharp bones. Its eyes were black holes that seemed to swallow light. When it spoke, its voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. Human vessel, it said in perfect English. You have taken our property. Return the escaped breeding stock immediately, or your ship and crew will be destroyed. Jake felt the world tilt around him. Breeding stock. They were talking about Zara like she was an animal. You will surrender the female now, the creature continued. She belongs to us. We made her. Jake looked at Zara, who was shaking with terror beside him. She grabbed his arm and whispered something that the translator barely caught. "Please," it said. "Don't let them take me back. Please." Jake made a decision that would change the course of human history. He stepped forward and faced the alien creature on the screen. "This woman is under the protection of humanity," he said, in a voice that carried throughout the bridge. "She is not property. She is a person with rights and dignity, and we will not surrender her to anyone." The creature's black eyes seemed to bore into Jake's soul. When it smiled, Jake could see rows of sharp teeth. "Then you have chosen death, human. You do not understand what you are protecting. The female is not what she appears to be. She was created for a purpose, and that purpose will be fulfilled whether you cooperate or not." The communication ended, leaving Jake staring at a blank screen. Around him, his crew prepared for battle against impossible odds. But Jake wasn't thinking about the enemy ships or the coming fight. He was thinking about Zara's tears and her desperate plea for protection. He was thinking about the scars on her body and the word property that made his soul burn with rage. Whatever these hegemony aliens had done to Zara, whatever they had made her into, Jake knew one thing for certain. He would die before he let them take her back. But as he looked at the 5 enemy ships surrounding them, Jake wondered if dying was exactly what they were all about to do. The hegemony ships formed a circle around the Discovery like wolves surrounding their prey. Jake stood on the bridge, feeling the weight of 30 lives depending on his decisions. Zara pressed herself against the wall, shaking so hard that Jake could hear her teeth chattering. "Captain," Pete called from his station. "They're scanning us. Deep scans. They're looking at everything on this ship." "Can we run?" Jake asked Tony. "Not a chance," Tony replied through the communicator. "Their ships are faster and stronger than ours. We're trapped." Ryan checked his weapons. "We can fight. We might not win, but we can make them pay for taking us." Jake looked at Zara. Her golden eyes were wide with terror, but she was trying to be brave. She walked over to him and took his hand. "I go back," she said in broken English. "Save you, save crew." "No," Jake said firmly. "We don't abandon people, not ever." "You not understand," Zara said, tears running down her blue cheeks. "They hurt you to hurt me. They enjoy pain. They make others suffer." The alien commander's face appeared on the screen again. His black eyes seemed to look right through Jake. "Human captain," the creature said. "You have one more chance. Return our property, and we will let you leave. Refuse, and we will take her anyway after we destroy your ship and kill your crew." "I already gave you my answer," Jake said. The creature tilted its head like a bird studying an insect. "You are either very brave or very stupid, human. Do you know what the female is? Her name is Zara, and she's a person who deserves freedom. She is a tool," the creature said, "built for a specific purpose. She carries genetic material that belongs to us. More importantly, she carries genetic material that belongs to you." Jake felt his blood turn to ice. "What are you talking about? Show him," the creature commanded. Zara closed her eyes and shook her head, but the creature's voice became harsh and commanding. He spoke words in a language that made Zara whimper with fear. "He gave you an order," Jake said to Zara gently. "But you don't have to obey anyone anymore. You're free." Zara looked up at Jake with such sadness that it broke his heart. "I not free, never free, made to serve, made to be used." She walked to the communication screen and began to speak. The universal translator worked to keep up with her rapid words. "My name is Zara of the Villani, but I am not really Villani. I was born in a laboratory on the world called Xerion. I am Generation 3 of the human hybrid program." Jake's legs felt weak. Human hybrid? 40 years ago, the hegemony found human ships in this region of space. They captured the crews and studied them. They learned about human genetics, human behavior, human thinking. Then they began to breed us. Dr. Brooks stepped forward. "Breed you for what?" "To understand humans. to fight humans, to think like humans, so the hegemony could defeat humans. Zara's voice was flat, like she was reciting facts from a textbook. I carry the genetic code of Captain Robert Nash, USS Prometheus. He was captured 38 years ago. Jake felt the world spinning around him. That's impossible. We've never been to this part of space before. Humans have been coming to this region for 50 years, the alien commander said. Most are captured. Some escape. A few die fighting. We have learned much about your species from them. The ones we capture alive are used for breeding, Zara continued. Their genetic material is mixed with captured alien species to create hybrids. I am part human, part Villani, made to think like a human, but obey like a slave. Jake stared at Zara as the horrible truth sank in. That's why you reacted to me the way you did. That's why you have my blood type. Captain Nash shared many genetic markers with you, Zara said. When I saw you, my human genetics recognized family. Something inside me knew you were like the father I never met. The alien commander smiled his horrible smile. The female was created to understand human emotional responses. She was programmed to bond with humans, to trust them, to make them trust her. She is our greatest weapon against your species. I never wanted to be a weapon, Zara whispered. I just wanted to be free. Dr. Brooks was studying readings on her scanner. Captain, I'm picking up something else. There are genetic markers in Zara that don't match either human or Villani DNA. That would be the control sequences, the alien commander said. Chemical triggers that ensure obedience. The female can be activated at any time to serve her true purpose. Which is what? Jake demanded. To infiltrate human space, to study human defenses, to prepare for our invasion of Earth. The creature's black eyes gleamed with evil pleasure. She will lead us to your homeworld, whether she wants to or not. Zara suddenly doubled over in pain. She grabbed her head and screamed. Her body began to shake violently. What are you doing to her? Jake shouted. Activating her programming, the alien commander said. She will obey now. She has no choice. But something unexpected happened. Instead of standing up and walking toward the alien on the screen, Zara crawled to Jake. She grabbed his hand and pressed something into his palm. Data chip, she gasped through her pain. Everything I know. Locations, weaknesses, other hybrids. Free them. The alien commander's face showed surprise for the first time. Impossible. She cannot resist the programming. Zara looked up at Jake, with golden eyes that burned with determination. Human part stronger than they think. Love stronger than fear. Family stronger than programming. She pressed Jake's hand to her heart. I give you everything, use it. Save others like me. Stop them. Jake felt the small chip in his hand. It was warm, like it contained fire instead of information. There are others? He asked. Hundreds, Zara whispered. Bred to look human, to think human. Sent to infiltrate your colonies. But if you free them, they fight back. They remember who they really are. The alien commander's voice became a roar of rage. Enough. You will return the female now, or we will take her by force. Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was ready to fight. They all knew they would probably die, but they also knew they were fighting for something bigger than themselves. Tony, Jake said, can you get a message to Earth? I can try, Captain. Send everything. Tell them about the hegemony. Tell them about the hybrids. Tell them we made first contact, and it didn't go well. Jake squeezed Zara's hand. And tell them that 30 humans and one very brave alien woman died fighting for freedom. Zara managed to smile through her pain. Not die yet. Still fight. Still hope. Jake nodded. She was right. They were still alive, which meant they could still fight. All hands, Jake announced over the ship's communication system. This is your captain. We are about to face an enemy that thinks they own people like property. They think they can take our friend and use her as a weapon against humanity. They think we will surrender because we are outnumbered. Jake looked at Zara, who was struggling to stand despite her pain. They are wrong about us. They don't understand what it means to be human. They don't understand that we fight hardest when we are protecting family, and they don't understand that Zara is family now. The alien commander cut off the communication channel. The 5 hegemony ships began moving closer to the Discovery. Jake helped Zara to her feet. "Can you fight?" "Always fight," she said. "Born to serve, but choose to fight." Jake smiled. That was the most human thing he had ever heard anyone say. Then, "Let's show them what happens when you mess with the wrong family." The first hegemony ship fired a warning shot that lit up space like a small star. The blast passed close enough to the Discovery that everyone on the bridge felt the heat through the metal walls. Jake gripped his captain's chair as the ship shook from the energy wave. "That was just a warning," the alien commander said when his face appeared on the screen again. "The next shot will destroy your engines. The one after that will kill half your crew. You cannot win this fight, human." Jake looked at his crew. Pete was pale but steady at his controls. Ryan had his hand on his weapon, ready for anything. Dr. Brooks was helping Zara stand, both women looking determined despite their fear. "Captain," Tony's voice came through the communicator. "I've got that message ready to send to Earth, but if I transmit it, they'll know what we're doing." "Do it," Jake said. "Humanity needs to know what's coming." The alien commander heard everything. "You think your warning will help? We have been preparing for this war for 40 years. We know your weaknesses. We know your fears. And we have weapons you cannot imagine." "Maybe," Jake said, "but you don't know us as well as you think." The creature laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "We know everything about humans. Your hybrid has been studying you for 3 days. Every word you speak, every decision you make, it all goes into our database." Jake felt a stab of betrayal and looked at Zara, but she shook her head quickly. "I fight the programming," she said. "I give them nothing about you, nothing about your ship. I choose you over them." "Impossible," the alien commander snarled. "The controls are absolute." Zara stood straighter, her golden eyes blazing with anger. "You make one mistake. You give me human DNA, human stubbornness, human love. Those things stronger than your programming." She turned to Jake and pressed the data chip deeper into his hand. "This chip contains more than information about their weaknesses. It contains the genetic codes for all the hybrids they have created. And something else." "What?" Jake asked. "The key to a weapon that can destroy them. Hidden in my DNA. They do not know I carry it." Dr. Brooks looked at her scanner readings. "Captain, I'm detecting some kind of biological agent in Zara's bloodstream, something that wasn't there before." Zara nodded. "When they activate my programming, they also activate the weapon. But instead of using it for them, I give it to you." The alien commander's black eyes went wide with shock. "What weapon? There is no weapon." "Your scientists not as smart as they think," Zara said with a smile that showed her teeth. "They study human DNA but not understand it. Humans carry immunity to diseases that kill your species. You bred that immunity into me thinking it would help me survive in human space." Jake began to understand. "But the immunity works both ways." "Yes. I carry a virus that is harmless to humans but deadly to the hegemony. All I need to do is release it into their ship's air system." The alien commander began shouting orders in his own language. The hegemony ships moved into attack formation. "You will not escape," the creature said, "and you will not use any weapon against us. We will destroy you all before you can act." But Jake had an idea. A crazy, impossible human idea that might just work. "Tony," he called, "can you connect Zara to our computer systems?" "Maybe. Why?" "Because she's part human and part alien. She might be able to interface with both our technology and theirs." Zara's eyes lit up with understanding. "Yes, I can connect to their ship's systems, upload the virus directly into their network." "That's suicide," Ryan said. "You'd have to get close to their ship to make that kind of connection." "Not if we bring their ship close to us," Jake said. He opened a communication channel to the hegemony commander. "I want to make a deal." The creature leaned forward. "What kind of deal?" "I'll surrender Zara to you personally, but only to you." You come aboard my ship alone and take her. In exchange, you let my crew go home to Earth. The alien commander studied Jake's face for a long moment. You would sacrifice yourself and the female to save your crew? Yes. Even though you know we will torture her for her betrayal? Jake's jaw tightened. Yes. The creature smiled his horrible smile. How wonderfully human. So emotional. So predictable. Very well. I will come aboard your ship, but if this is a trap, my ships will destroy you immediately. The communication ended. Jake turned to his crew. This is not a surrender, he said quietly. When that creature comes aboard, Zara will interface with his ship's systems through whatever technology he brings with him. She'll upload the virus and hopefully disable their fleet. What about the commander? Ryan asked. We handle him the old-fashioned way, Jake said. Zara looked worried. Jake, if I connect to their systems, they might be able to take control of me completely. I might not be able to come back. Jake took her hands in his. Then we'll fight to bring you back. That's what family does. Tears ran down Zara's blue cheeks. I never had family before you. You do now, Jake said. And we don't abandon family. 20 minutes later, a small hegemony shuttle docked with the Discovery. The alien commander walked aboard, flanked by 2 guards. He was even more frightening in person, tall and thin like a walking skeleton. His gray skin looked like old leather, stretched over sharp bones. Where is our property? He demanded. Right here, Jake said. Zara stepped out from behind him, but she was no longer the frightened woman who had clung to him days ago. She stood tall and proud, ready to fight. You will come with us now, the commander told her. Yes, Zara said. I will come. But as she walked toward the alien, she brushed against a control panel. Her hand glowed for just a moment as she made contact with the ship's computer systems. The alien commander suddenly stiffened. His black eyes went wide as he realized what was happening. She is interfacing with our systems, he shouted to his guards. Stop her. But it was too late. Zara's consciousness had already entered the hegemony network. Through the commander's communication device, she reached into every ship in the fleet. The virus spread like wildfire through their computer systems. Alarms began blaring on the alien ships. Their lights flickered and went out one by one. The commander pulled out a weapon and pointed it at Jake. You will pay for this betrayal. But Ryan was faster. His shot hit the alien commander in the chest, sending him crashing to the deck. The 2 guards tried to raise their weapons, but Pete and Tony were ready for them. In seconds, the 3 aliens were down. But Jake's attention was on Zara, who stood frozen at the control panel, her eyes glowing with a strange light. Zara, he called. Come back. She turned to look at him, but her expression was blank. For a terrible moment, Jake thought they had lost her to the alien programming. Then she smiled. Virus uploaded successfully, Captain. 5 hegemony ships disabled, but Jake, I found something else in their network. What? The locations of 12 human colonies that the hegemony has been infiltrating, and the positions of 17 breeding facilities where they keep captured humans and other slaves. Jake felt his heart racing. Are there survivors? Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, all waiting to be rescued. Jake looked around at his crew. They were beaten and exhausted, their ship damaged from the warning shots. By any logical measure, they should run home to Earth as fast as possible. But Jake thought about hundreds of humans trapped in alien breeding facilities. He thought about the hybrids like Zara, who were being used as weapons against their will. He thought about entire species enslaved by the hegemony. Tony, he said, how badly damaged are we? We can fly, Captain. We can fight if we have to. Jake nodded. Then we're not going home yet. Captain, Pete asked, we're going to rescue them. All of them. Every human prisoner, every hybrid, every slave that the hegemony has taken. Ryan shook his head. Captain, that's impossible. There are hundreds of hegemony worlds out there. Maybe, Jake said. But we're not doing this alone. He turned to Zara. You said there were other hybrids in the hegemony fleet. Did the virus reach them? Zara smiled. Every hybrid in their network just learned the truth about what they are, and they are angry. Through the view screen, Jake could see the hegemony ships drifting powerless in space. But more importantly, he could see smaller ships launching from them. Ships stolen by freed hybrids who were escaping their captors. Looks like we just started a revolution, Jake said. Zara took his hand. Then let us finish it. The space around the Discovery looked like a battlefield painted with stars. 5 massive hegemony ships floated dead in the darkness, their lights flickering weakly as the virus ate through their systems. But the most beautiful sight was the dozens of small ships flying free from the alien vessels. Captain, Pete called from his station. I'm getting communication requests from 37 different ships. They're all speaking different languages, but the translator is picking up the same word over and over. What word? Jake asked. Freedom. Jake felt tears in his eyes as he watched ship after ship break away from their former captors. These were the hybrids and slaves that the hegemony had controlled for generations. Now they were free, and they were angry. Zara stood beside him, her golden eyes bright with hope for the first time since they found her. They are asking what to do next. They have never been free before. They do not know how to be free. Then we'll teach them, Jake said. Doctor. Brooks was studying her scanners. Captain, I'm detecting massive communication activity throughout this region of space. The virus isn't just affecting these ships, it's spreading to other hegemony fleets through their network. How far? Jake asked. At least 50 star systems, maybe more. Every hybrid in their fleet is learning the truth about what they are. Jake opened a communication channel to all the freed ships around them. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel Discovery. You are no longer slaves. You are no longer property. You are free beings with the right to choose your own path. The yes responses came in dozens of languages, but the translators worked overtime to convert them into words Jake could understand. The freed beings were asking the same questions over and over. Where should they go? What should they do? How could they stay free? We help them, Zara said. But first, we help the others still trapped. Jake nodded. She was right. Freedom meant nothing if they left others in chains. Tony, Jake called. Can we use the virus to locate other hegemony facilities? Already working on it, Captain. Zara's virus is like a map. Every system it infects sends back its location. I'm seeing breeding facilities, slave worlds, prison camps, hundreds of them. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. How could one damaged ship and 30 humans take on an empire that controlled hundreds of worlds? But then he looked at the freed ships around them, and he realized they weren't alone anymore. Open a channel to Earth, Jake ordered. Maximum power. I want every human colony to hear this message. Pete worked at his controls. Channel open, Captain. Jake stood up straight and faced the camera. Behind him, Zara and his crew stood ready to support whatever he was about to say. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the UES Discovery. 6 days ago, we made first contact with alien life. It didn't go the way we hoped. Jake paused, thinking about all the humans back on Earth who were about to learn that they were not alone in the universe. The aliens we met are called the hegemony. They have been capturing humans for 40 years and using them to breed slave soldiers. They have enslaved entire species across dozens of star systems, and they are planning to invade Earth. He could imagine the panic his words were causing, but he continued. But today we learned something important about humanity. When we are faced with evil, we don't run. We don't hide. We fight. Not just for ourselves, but for everyone who cannot fight for themselves. Jake gestured to the ships around them. These beings were slaves an hour ago. Now they are free, and they are asking us to help them free others. Zara stepped forward. My name is Zara. I was created by the hegemony to be a weapon against humanity. But humans showed me something my creators never understood. Love is stronger than fear. Family is stronger than programming, and freedom is worth fighting for. Jake put his hand on Zara's shoulder. Today, the Discovery becomes the first ship in what I'm calling the Emancipation Fleet. Our mission is simple. We are going to free every slave, every prisoner, every being held captive by the hegemony. We are going to show this galaxy what it means to be human. The communication channel, filled with responses from freed ships pledging to join them. Even more amazing, signals were coming in from human colonies throughout known space, offering ships and crews for the fight. But the most important response came from Earth itself. Admiral Patricia Cole, the head of the Human Space Command, appeared on the screen. "Captain Morrison," she said, "you have exceeded your authority and violated first contact protocols." Jake's heart sank. Were they going to order him home? Then Admiral Cole smiled. "Fortunately, I'm exceeding my authority too. The Emancipation Fleet is officially approved. Earth is sending everything we have to support your mission." Jake felt relief wash over him. "Thank you, Admiral." "Don't thank me yet, Captain. Thank me when you bring our people home." The next few hours were busy as they organized their new fleet. Ships from a dozen different species joined them, each bringing unique weapons and abilities. The freed hybrids became their best intelligence sources, knowing the locations and defenses of hegemony facilities. Zara worked with Dr. Brooks to improve the virus, making it more effective against hegemony systems. But more importantly, she helped establish communication with hybrid agents still trapped in the hegemony fleet. "It's working," she reported to Jake. "Hybrids throughout their empire are sabotaging their ships from the inside. Some are escaping. Others are turning their vessels over to slave populations." Jake watched the tactical display as red dots representing hegemony facilities began turning green one by one. Each green dot represented freedom for hundreds or thousands of enslaved beings, but their first target was special. According to Zara's intelligence, the breeding facility on Zarian 7 held over 200 human prisoners, including some who had been captured decades ago. "That's where I was born," Zara said quietly. "That's where they make more like me." "Then that's where we're going first," Jake said. The journey to Zarian 7 took 3 days. By the time they arrived, their fleet had grown to over 100 ships. The hegemony facility was heavily defended, but they had advantages the enemy didn't. Expect. The hybrid agents inside the facility opened the shields at the crucial moment. Escaped slaves provided detailed maps of the defenses, and the virus had already infected most of the computer systems. The battle was fierce, but brief. When it was over, Jake stood in the main laboratory where Zara had been created. The sight made him sick. Hundreds of breeding tanks lined the walls, each designed to create new slaves for the hegemony. But the prisoners they freed made it all worthwhile. Humans who had been captured years ago wept with joy when they saw the rescue. Ships, alien slaves who had never known freedom, touched the sky for the first time in their lives. Most important was an old man named Captain Robert Nash, the human whose DNA had been used to create Zara. When he met her, he smiled through his tears. "Daughter," he said simply. Zara hugged him tight. "Father," she replied. Jake watched them embrace and thought about how far they had all come. A week ago, Zara had been a terrified refugee clinging to a stranger. Now she was part of a family that spanned species and star systems. Over the following months, the Emancipation Fleet grew into something the galaxy had never seen before. Human ingenuity combined with alien technology and knowledge from freed slaves to create an unstoppable force for liberation. They freed world after world, always leaving behind the infrastructure for self-government and defense. They didn't conquer. They liberated. They didn't rule. They taught others to rule themselves. The hegemony fought back desperately, but their empire was built on fear and slavery. When their subjects stopped being afraid and started fighting back, the whole system began to collapse. Jake stood on the bridge of the Discovery 1 year later, looking out at a fleet of over 1,000 ships from dozens of species. They had just finished liberating the last known hegemony breeding facility. "What's next, Captain?" Pete asked. Jake smiled and looked at Zara, who was now his first officer and the official ambassador to the freed worlds. "Same thing we've been doing," Jake said. "Someone out there is still enslaved. Someone out there is still suffering. And as long as that's true, we keep fighting." Zara nodded. "Because someone has to be the first to say no more. And if not, us, then who?" Jake replied. If not now, then when? Zara finished. Together they watched their fleet jump to hyperspace, carrying the banner of freedom to the next world that needed them. The galaxy was a big place, but humanity had taught it something important. No one fights harder than someone fighting for family, and everyone deserves to be free.